Hello and welcome to Salford Now. I'm Connor Cockcroft. A domestic violence support group in Salford is training up some volunteers to attend court with victims of abuse. The Lindsay Ashton project aims to give victims moral support during court hearings as well as legal advice. Ellie Kemp reports.
The project is aiming to support more victims of domestic abuse. The Lindsay Ashton project was named after a 24-year-old from Eccles who was murdered by her boyfriend whilst he was on bail for rape charges.
We've just received funding to run the Lindsay Ashton project to train people to be advocates and kind of legal advisors, help people fill forms in, etc., and support them at the courts. We also will go along as extra support for someone that might be a witness in a case about domestic abuse.
Figures from Greater Manchester Police show that in 2017 there were 1,552 instances of domestic abuse recorded in Salford. That's almost an 11% increase on the previous year. It is thought that there was almost 23,000 cases of domestic abuse across Greater Manchester.
We got through in at the deep end and had to go court, but it's quite scary at first when you go, but when you get the result you're after, it makes it worth it, if you understand.
Yeah. So what do you actually do?
We have to help, we'll help fill the forms in. We're just there to support them there. If they've got any questions, then we can obviously answer them the best we can. When you go to some of the groups and people haven't been through it, they can patronise you, where here it's not like that, because every one of us have been through it.
Just swap it over.
Now, far-right political activist Tommy Robinson held a protest outside the BBC's headquarters here in Salford last Saturday. The former leader of the English Defence League was protesting against a BBC Panorama investigation into him, saying that he is constantly battling a media that lie. Will Dixon reports.
Thousands gathered amidst the fencing and significant police presence at Media City UK, where beneath the logo of the company he was protesting about, Tommy Robinson took to the stage to accuse the BBC of corruption and lies.
There is some serious trolling going on here.
He was joined on stage by Gerard Batten, the leader of the UKIP party, a party of which Robinson advises.
It's really brought that home to everybody in the last 2 years and 8 months has been the mainstream media's coverage of Brexit.
Robinson's team asked protesters to let reporters do their job, but this did not turn out to be the case, as journalist David Poucher was removed from the protest, experiencing verbal abuse.
Tommy Robinson's PR person. He grabbed Holly and I on the shoulder and pushed us and said, "You need to leave now." And very aggressive. We were very uncomfortable. He had us both very firmly on the shoulder.
Metres away, a counter-rally was held, and despite the expected friction, there were no arrests, with Greater Manchester Police saying there was minimal disruption caused on the day. Will Dixon, Salford Now, Media City.
Tory Children and Families Minister Nadeem Zahawi announced earlier today that an extra £24 million of funding will be granted to maintain nursery schools during the next academic year. but no new funding is being given to help Salford Council's 5 threatened local authority nurseries. First today, a man was found unconscious inside a burning flat in Higher Broughton in Salford just before midnight last night. He has since been taken to hospital by the North West Ambulance Service. Now, would you swim in this water? Residents of Salford have said no and have taken to Twitter to highlight the conditions of the water in Media City. However, the signs around Media City are still encouraging experienced swimmers to swim. We spoke to a local resident who tweeted that he would not be swimming in these waters at this current moment.
I would say it would be better to have somebody on top of it every day. It's not a lot of work, and it's only a few bags that I imagine the side effects of leaving it there is worse than actually just paying someone a couple of hours a day just to swipe as much as possible.
Princess Park Garden Centre in Earlham are appealing for donations to contribute to the repairs of a leaking roof in the community centre. Izzy Moore reports.
In the heart of Earlham is Princess Park Garden Centre, a community hub providing work experience for locals with disabilities. Recently, the canteen has been unfit for purpose due to a leak resulting in mould.
The water on the flat roof, it's bellied and it's seeped its way through, basically. So we do go up on the roof periodically and shovel the water off the roof to take the weight off it, but obviously it's taken its toll. We did put it out on Facebook that we had this dilemma, and fortunately a local roofer came and resealed the outside of the roof for us. So we're hoping that we can let this dry now and hopefully redecorate it inside.
The main toilet is completely out of order due to the quickly spreading mould, which manager Tom Broad fears will eventually take over the whole building if left untreated. This would affect usual charity events and day-to-day activities that the staff carry out at the garden centre.
The main welfare building for the adults with learning difficulties that we do have here. So obviously if it creeps along into the main canteen area, then we're in real trouble really, because there's nowhere else for them.
The staff are urging locals to donate to their cause in the hopes that the centre's main hub can be restored to provide staff with an adequate working environment. A GoFundMe page has been set up with a goal of reaching £5,000 to cover the costs of refurbishing the roof and walls. For now, spirits remain high as the staff remain positive for the centre's bright future.
Now it's time to go to Lars, who has the sport.
Thank you very much, Connor. And first in cricket, England won the 4th one-day international against West Indies by 29 runs in Grenada yesterday. Lancashire's Josh Buttler was the star of the show, hitting 150 runs off only 77 balls in a devastating knock, which included 13 fours and 12 sixes. The final match in the series takes place at the Darren Sammy Stadium in St Lucia on Saturday. And over to rugby now. Salford Red Devils welcome St Helens to the AJ Bale Stadium tonight. However, there's a twist. I'm joined by Ollie Thorpe, our sports editor, to tell us more. So, what's going on at AJ Bale tonight?
Well, tonight, Lars, Salford Red Devils take on St Helens in the Betfred Super League. But there is a twist, as you mentioned. The University of Salford are taking over the ground, and many students are getting involved in the night.
All right, taking over the ground, being students as well then, or?
We wish.
So, which societies are involved?
Well, Shock Radio is involved. They're providing live music and live commentary throughout the night. The Salford University Dance Society are getting involved. They're dancing before the game, and the band is involved as well.
Yeah? Seems like quite a night. So, are you going to be involved yourself? Or?
Yes, I'm joining Shock Radio as part of their commentary team. So myself and Alistair Hancock will be there, providing blow by blow.
Brilliant, look forward to it. Salford students to find the tickets, is that correct?
Yes.
Can you move on, please?
Perfect. All right, we'll throw it back to Connor now.
Thanks, Lars. So Salford now has spoken to Brendan Rendell, who's done numerous marathons in Africa.
So last summer I ran from Namibia to Mozambique, 4 African countries, 2,474 miles over 98 days. And it was to raise money for a Preston-based charity that support 3,500 orphans. And it was inspired by a trip to Malawi back in 2008. And we were cycling along and all these children would be joining us. And then we visited a farming resource centre and a children's project. Malawi is one of the poorest countries in the world. and it just completely changed my whole life. That really was the start then of me raising money for the last 10 years.
Starting his training in Media City, the Salford runner went on to tell us about his future goals.
So inspired from this run was like the equivalent of running 94 marathons in 91 days. Oh, okay. The actual run was 98 days, but I lost 7 days to sickness. And for me, I love living in the moment, and I think that's what these runs do. It's like mindfulness to another level. You're completely engrossed in your surroundings, you're breathing, and so when I finished this one, it inspired me that I wanted to run the length of Africa from Cairo to Cape Town, and it really excites me that I can do it, because 2 years ago I also ran the length of Malawi, 27 marathons, 27 days. I raised 35,000 to help build a school there, and then 6 weeks later I ran the length of Great Britain. So that gave me an idea that I could go on and do these longer things.
Now tonight, premiering tonight, University of Salford's Almost Famous Theatre Company are performing Legally Blonde the musical every night until Saturday. The theatre company will also support local charity every month with money raised for the public donation by those coming to see the musical. Lars Magnus has more.
Not only are they putting on a show, they're also raising money for charity.
We're here to help.
This time, Almost Famous Theatre Company are supporting Manchester Charity every month, a community project providing free access to menstrual products to women living on the poverty line. Period poverty is a serious problem in the UK. 1 in 10 girls can't afford to buy menstrual products. Almost 138,000 girls have missed school because of period poverty. Menstrual products cost more than £18,000 in a woman's life, and 40% of girls have used toilet roll because they couldn't afford menstrual products. Jess Porter, playing Elle Woods in Legally Blonde, is proud the musical is able to support local charities.
It's a massively important charity because most women have periods, most women have to deal with it. So it's not fair that we should be unfairly penalised for a necessity. So I definitely think it's a really important charity, and it's all about looking after your fellow woman, which is just what Legally Blonde's about. So I think it's got a great message and ties in really nicely with the musical.
Lars Magnus Royce, Salford Now.
Salford Lads Club held another fundraising event to help keep the club afloat. Celebrities from Coronation Street and Coldfeet were a few who helped out on the night.
Funding comes hard to small businesses, especially for independent charities who don't receive any finances from the council. Salford Lads Club held their latest charity fundraiser, welcoming actors Chris Gascoigne and John Thompson.
Fundraising tonight with the actor-comedian John Thompson for the Salford Lads Club in Salford. It's just kind of an evening really for a few chats and a bit of a laugh. I've always kind of thought this is an amazing building and got an amazing history, you know, so it's great that always young people need places like this. It's very, very important.
Both actors are putting on a night full of entertainment with a stand-up show followed by a Q&A with the audience.
We filmed Coldfeet twice recently here, the Series 6 and Series 8, and I saw the place, I thought it's brilliant this, and they went, well, you know, and I've done a bit of fundraising for My Choice before, so yeah, I suppose as a Salford lad by birth, it makes perfect sense to put a bit back in.
Salford Lads Club has been open since 1903 and has welcomed the Girls Club in 1944.
Well, we're very independent. We're an independent charity. We're not part of the council or the government, so we have to raise all our funds every year. And we generally get funds from things like BBC Children in Need, from Comic Relief, from the Seconis Trust with charities. But we're in this amazing Edwardian building, which takes also a massive upkeep. So we have to raise money every year, even just to keep the building repaired.
Now it's time to see if I'll be needing that brolly this weekend. Here's Jack with the weather.
Sunshine and high temperatures over the past few days. This picture was taken in Salford Quays just yesterday. However, the conditions are now set to return to those that you'd expect at this time of year, with rain and lower temperatures returning as soon as today. Tomorrow the temperatures will be around 7 degrees with highs of 11, and the temperatures will remain the same on Saturday. However, with the start of the weekend brings rain, although expect some patches of sunshine mid-afternoon, just in time for you to head down to the Salford Quays to watch the final performance of Noughts and Crosses at the Lowry Theatre. The start of next week offers promise of sun, however temperatures are soon drop to 4 with highs of 8 and 9 and expected to remain the same around midweek. Have a lovely weekend, and back to you, Connor, in the studio.
Now that's it for today. Have a great weekend, but remember to follow us on social media at Salford Now, and thank you very much and have a good weekend. you.